All right, so we are doing some travel inspo for 2025, and I'm going to be talking about some upcoming group trips that I have planned: Iceland and Egypt with G Adventures. Here you see a beautiful, I don't know, what would you call this? Iceberg lake and some desert. So hopefully that's nice and aptly chosen for the content in this webinar. And I have a special guest who is named Jonas, and he is Icelandic. So he's going to be talking especially about Iceland, and then we're going to also chat about Egypt. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. And, this is a kind of a casual conversation. We're just going to be, sharing about these itineraries and countries. And if you have some questions along the way, feel free to just pop in and voice them. Let's see. Oh, come on. There we go. So I'm Julie. I think both of you know me, but I'll just give my little spiel for the replay. I am a nomad and I grew up in the Midwest, and I last lived in Phoenix. I've been nomadic now for 4 years and basically outside of the US since 2022. Ever since then, I visited my 45th country in all 7 continents. And last year, I started doing group trips, among some other things. So I've hosted a couple groups in Oaxaca, Mexico, Patagonia, and Morocco, and I have more on the way. So hopefully you guys will be able to join for those. And this all started from my blog. So I just started sharing some of my travel stories and wanted to be creative, and it's kind of blossomed into these really cool opportunities. And I feel really fortunate to be able to see these amazing places and share with others. And I want you guys to get excited about traveling in 2025. So the reason I like to do these webinars, even though they're a lot of work and I feel, always a little bit anxious to get on camera, I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. And, sometimes you just want to hear firsthand about what's going on, just so you feel comfortable and you get your questions answered and you see snapshots of what you are going to see yourself. So I think these are really helpful for those reasons. And I'm hopefully speaking to you guys who are dipping your toe into solo travel in a group or joining a group with a friend or a partner. And maybe you're interested about what to expect on a group trip, what to expect on these itineraries, especially Iceland and Egypt, or you have any questions about group travel with me or these destinations. I want to share just a little bit of feedback from the last few groups that I've hosted. And I think the one thing that I really want to play up is, yes, it's about what we do and the countries we see and all the experiences and cultural moments and just, those experiences that you get when you travel. But I think it's also the special thing is traveling with a group of like-minded people that you can relate to, that you can have that social time with, and then make these really great memories and build friendships with these people. So typically my groups really do bond and have a really good time together. So I'm of course hoping the same to happen on Iceland and Egypt. So just a little blurb from Melanie. We as a group had such a great time together with lots of laughing and hugging, and sure, the beautiful sights of Morocco. These experiences and feelings we all carried home. This is what counts. Thank you for getting us together. And then from Jake in Patagonia, previous to this trip, I've mainly been a solo traveler. Trying to precisely plan my trip stresses me out, and I know for many, not planning everything stresses them out. When I booked this trip, I only knew one person, Julie. If not for her, I would not have been on this trip or writing this post. To stay, she has inspired me in more ways than one would be an understatement. Once the group arrived, I quickly realized this was going to be a great trip with great people who all had the same sense of adventure as I do. It was also just relaxing to follow the leader. The views on this trip were epic, but the people made it special. So, that always touches me to hear those things. And I just hope to enable that experience for everybody. So next, I want to talk just a little bit about my groups. So typically, my groups are smallish, Some of them are co-ed, some of them are women only. So typically about 10 to 14 people, including me. What we do is we're not, in a group of 40 people on a tour bus. We typically don't have a super strict schedule. It's, all the types of things that you are used to seeing on my social media feeds, the nature, the must-do cultural experiences, some of the off the beaten path hidden gems, some quirky things, some sophisticated things, but really we're striving to have authentic experiences and immerse ourselves in the local community, and at the same time staying conscious to practice sustainable tourism and give back at the same time. I typically choose itineraries that have a little bit of free time so that you can sort of do it yourself or rest, but most of the rest of the activities are all group activities with me included, so we can really bond and have those amazing moments. And depending on, actually, both of these activities, I think, or both of these itineraries are pretty jam-packed with activities because we really want to make it worth your while. I'm not the tour guide. I just want to make that clear. I'm there for the ride, for the experience, to, bond and be a viewer and a spectator and an experiencer just like the rest of you. So I leave the tour guiding to the experts. I work with vetted, preferred, and respected and beloved suppliers like G Adventures. And the guides are trained, they're accredited, they are usually local to the destination. They speak the language, so they know how to communicate and navigate and get us where we need to go. So that you're in really, really great hands on these trips. And I'm, just kind of one of the guests. So I love that I don't have to do a lot of work during the trip. It's all pre-work, right? And my role really is to sort of be your resource, your friend, your photographer, your deadline reminder, packing tip giver, and whatever else you might need. So I like to give people a lot of information about how to best prepare. And we also hold some virtual group meetings leading up to the trip. So once you book, we'll have some of these connections where we kind of go through some need to know information and just connect with each other and bond with each other. So we have this support system built in. And then I also don't take your money. That is safe with the tour operator, and your financials are, handled by them. Doesn't go through me. And I just also want to note what about average age. So age is an attitude. I strongly believe that. All are welcome, but if you'd like to have a ballpark, the guests on my trips typically they range from 30s to 70s. The average is, typically 40s to 50s. And there's a mix of solo travelers. We've had solos come on not knowing anybody, not even me. We've had some small friend groups, a couple people. We've had couples. I have had a few couples on my Oaxaca trip. And then multi-generational. I even have had some mother and daughter. So, it typically runs the gamut of what I might see. So, I really want to make travel attainable, whatever the situation is. And then finally, who's a good fit? Well, I think group trips are really great for, beginner to intermediate travelers who appreciate the built-in friendships on a group trip. They're open-minded, they're curious, they're interested and motivated to try and experience new things. And they don't get, hopefully, derailed or grouchy when things go wrong, because sometimes they do. And both of these itineraries are a little bit more energetic. So I just like to put that out there for people to keep in mind. Okay, so let's talk about Iceland. And I'll first just say it's May 24th to June 1st, 9 days, 8 nights. The cost is $3,799 per person, and the group is co-ed. So I will hand it over to Jonas to introduce himself and to talk about Iceland.
Hello, everybody. As introduced, I'm Jonas, and I'm the Icelander here to happily introduce the Iceland trip. I've been fortunate enough to have worked with G Adventures for several years. As a local, I was working with G Adventures as their CEO or Chief Experience Officer, as we call our guides in Iceland. And I was leading, among others, this very same product that we're going to be looking at here today. And I currently now live in the US. Although the background and my lopapeysa, which is this woolen sweater made from Icelandic wool, will tell you I'm actually living in the US, in Michigan. I'm the business development manager for G Adventures here in the Midwest. And I was fortunate enough to have had met with Julie on a trip in Africa. And that's why we're here working together. And I'm happy to be able to help here in other ways. I I love being able to talk about travel. I love to be able to inspire travel in other ways from than just being on the road with travelers such as yourselves. And I would love to see more people visit my home country. Uh, I would love also just to bring attention to the beautiful background that Julie has. That's the beautiful waterfall Seljalandsfoss, and beautiful hair too, Julie. Beautiful hair. Cascading just like the waterfall. But that's one of the, it's actually one of the stops in the tour. And I will talk about that later. But this, uh, this tour is very special to me. It was one of my all-time favorites to lead, and I do miss leading trips on the ground. I see bookings going through our systems all the time with travelers going back to Iceland, and yeah, I can't help
You have
to
FOMO.
yeah, a lot of FOMO. I was going to use a more eloquent word, reminisce, but like FOMO is FOMO is a good word too.
Appropriate. Okay.
But let's just dive into it. So I wanted to kind of break up the itinerary into bite-sized pieces because it's a quite um, it's a journey. It takes you around the country, and it does give you a good overview of what Iceland has to offer. It is I would say one of the best ways to get introduced to Iceland as a first time traveler. And even if you've visited Iceland once as a business traveler, or visited Iceland for a couple of days, like most likely you probably had not seen the rest of Iceland, or the north or the northeastern parts of Iceland that trips takes you to. So like this trip is still a great option for majority of people that even have visited Iceland. Um, this is a great overall trip, and that's one of the reasons why I love taking people on those trips, because it had people that had were first time travelers and were also maybe second timers, and they still loved it. And the trip will start with a welcome meeting. You know, people will be arriving at any time during the first day, and usually that's because people are coming from anywhere in the world, and we don't want to be tying people down for a specific arrival time. And then they will have a chance to meet up with the CEO and the group in the evening. And so uh, that gets you kind of bonded together as a group, so that the day after, when you embark on the journey, you do so as a group, not as strangers, which is something that I found very invigorating, and I found this very precious when starting a journey as friends, not as strangers. And that's very, very important to me, because when you start a trip like that, then you're already starting to share experiences. and start it instead of starting a trip with small talk and trying to learn the person next to you. You start to share the experiences of what you're experiencing around you instead of like trying to figure out where that person next to you lives, you know, because you got that out of the way last night, you know. So on that first day, when you come in, you may be you're tired. Also, a lot of the flights that come over from the U.S. they arrive very early in the morning. You may get be a little bit tired, so you you want to get that sleep in. So by day two, you will have be re-energized and you want to start seeing the country. You we start that day two by driving from Reykjavik to Akureyri. It's a very beautiful and scenic drive. And
Hakurei. Hakurei?
Akureyri, yeah, it's a tough one.
They're all
It-
tough.
yeah, it's Akureyri is the capital of the north. It's the second the biggest city outside of the main capital area, and that's actually my hometown. That's where I
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Very
I'm just
cool.
I'm really excited about this itinerary because I think a lot of them only really kind of skirt maybe the bottom. And we're seeing like almost all of Iceland with this one. I mean, I'm sure it's jam-packed, right? Because it's 9 days. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I'm really glad because like you go all the way over there. So of course you want to see as much as you can.
Oh yeah. No, it's and these itineraries in Iceland they tend to also be kind of created with the US market in mind because unfortunately the Americans we don't get a lot of vacation days, so we try to make sure that we fit a lot so that we get our vacations worth.
Right.
And so with that being said, like we get to go to Akureyri on day two, and on that day there is going to be an optional activity to go to a do a whale watching. And when there is an optional activity, of course, there's not going to be everybody participating. Of course, the optional activities are fantastic. They're curated to be um perfectly fitted to those states. I would definitely recommend it if you've not done whale watching before. The north of Iceland and especially Eyjafjörður, which is the fjord that lies up there, is particularly good in that time of year to see humpback whales. So I would definitely recommend it. And so yeah, definitely do that.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's a great way to kind of start off, and it's a leisurely day. You start with a scenic drive, and then you have a chance to do the whale watching, and then you end up going to um, Sveinbjarnargerði after having maybe a short stop in my hometown. And Sveinbjarnargerði, I know the owner, Siggi. He's a great guy. If you have a chance to meet him, he's like he's a true northerner. He's a very fun guy. Like I hope you have a chance to meet him. Like tell him Jonas says hi. He'll know who I am. And but yeah, and then day three is one of my all-time favorite days. It takes you out into what can only be described to be not of this world scenery. It is I purposely did not include a lot of pictures from that area because I don't want to take away the awe and the magic of seeing it in person. Because
Oh.
sometimes some things are left best seen in person. And
Uh-huh.
so just to leave it at that, with being said that a lot of Hollywood movies that are supposed to be happening in outer space and in other planets tend to be shot in that area.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, movies like Oblivion with Tom Cruise, Prometheus, all types of these movies. Just a sneak hit, Prometheus. There was an alien. Like I don't want to like bloopers. Spoiler alert. Do not listen, watch any further if you're like listening or watching the rerun. at the end of that waterfall picture there, at the very end there, at the end scene of that movie, there's an alien that falls off that very corner.
Oh,
And
cool.
that's there.
Very
So
cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's a beautiful area to go through, and that's also going to be an area where you have an option to soak in a geothermal area, natural baths, and go to one of my all-time favorite places in northeast Iceland called Bakkagerði, which is hidden away in a mountainous part of Iceland, and remind me the dates you're going again.
It's the end of May, like May 24th through June 1st.
Okay, so that's a good possible dates for puffins.
Ooh,
So
puffins.
that may be just around the time where the puffins have arrived. So hopefully you have good luck with puffins in the area.
Yeah.
It's one of the best. It's one of the best areas, in my personal opinions, to view puffins. So
Oh, cool. So are they like nesting? Are they flying around or what are they? How do you?
they have nesting grounds in some parts of Iceland, and that's one of the areas. And they have burrows in one of the areas by one of the local harbors there. And by mid-May, they tend to arrive and get into the area. So of course, it's always with preservation and making sure that the wildlife is being protected and not encroached upon. We always do that in a very respectful way. But it's a beautiful area to view the puffins and the landscapes there. And Arngrímur, if you meet him, he is the owner of Álfheimar Guest House, which is there. It's a very nice guy. Like I said, like I used to run these trips there for a long time. Got to know
So
a lot of
your reputation is alive and well in Iceland.
yeah, I miss a lot of the people, the hotel owners, and it's a community, and G Adventures is all about these communities and building these relationship with the suppliers and the vendors and all that. So yeah, that's why I'm very sad to not be a part of that anymore. But now I'm building the communities on the other side.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a beautiful day. So let's move on to the oh.
Oops, did I go too far? There we
No,
go.
Deborah just left a message.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What do we?
she has to say goodbye.
Oh, okay. Well,
Uh,
that's okay. We're recording this.
yes, and then from Bakkagerði on day 4, we head out to the village of Höfn, and we have a very beautiful fjords and mountain views and a scenic drive on that day. It's a day where we're kind of meandering and making our way down to the southeast parts of Iceland. It's a day where kind of the CEO takes artistic liberties of kind of making the day what it can be based
Yeah.
on what's kind of happening.
Typically
And
they'll like maybe pull over and say, oh, there's a good photo spot here. There's like nice little place to stop here to get a
yeah,
snack and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, and we'll always just take it as it is, like weather allowing and all that. So it's a beautiful drive, and it's a nice just like a recharge day because the day before can there's a lot to take in. So it's a good recharge day, and it's a very nice scenic day as well.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
excited.
yeah, no, I'm excited on your behalf. Uh, but yeah, then the day after, going from Hub to Week, that is a day with some optional activities that I can't stress enough are pretty amazing as well.
Mhm.
So the pictures there are of uh, the Glacier Lagoon, probably one of my all-time favorite locations in Iceland. It's an ever-changing landscape of uh, just icebergs floating in the lagoon, and like you could go there as a local every week, and
Hmm.
it's not the same. And sometimes there's a bunch of ice floating there. Sometimes there's fewer ice bergs floating there. Uh, but it's always different, and it's always so magical, and it's just so unique every time. So it never loses its magic for me. And
Mhm.
and then on the picture below, it's taken on the other side of that mountain that you see in the background there, which is called Mount Kvan. No, I kind of lost the name of that, so gotta make sure because this is a recording that I don't get.
You'll be on record.
Yeah,
It'll come to haunt you.
but the glacier that is on the bottom photo is Svinafellsjökull.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jonas, are these two optional activities, are they at the same time? Do you have to pick one or the other? Can you do both?
They are on the same day, but you can do both on the same day. So they are going to be at different parts of the day. So one is you're gradually moving towards the glacier hike. You would then start with a glacier lagoon boat ride, and then you would move towards the Skaftafell Visitor Center, where you then embark on the glacier hike towards the latter part of the day.
And is it like, would you say it's strenuous? Is it a hard hike or is it pretty?
I would say that it's it can be strenuous, mainly because of the distance traveled. But most people that are healthy can do it as long as they can walk a distance. It is like you are out there for like 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
You are outside. You are. Um, and now I can't really speak to exactly the terrain that I was walking maybe 5 years ago because the
Yeah.
glacier terrains are always changing. Uh,
Yeah.
the glacier access can change within 2 weeks, and so I can't imagine how much it's changed in the 4 years since I was there last.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak to that. So
Okay.
it's an ever-changing terrain. So but it's always changing, but I can definitely say that I've seen people young and old do it. It's um, yeah, so I would say it's definitely it's a attainable by most in good health.
Okay.
Definitely, if you're able to walk 2 miles and
Good.
you can do stairs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know. Looks
yeah.
beautiful.
It's a beautiful area. It's a bit of a hike to get out there. So a lot of people don't end up visiting that part of Iceland when visiting. So it's one of those areas that unless you're doing a tour, might not necessarily see. So
Oh, so are you saying like a lot of tours don't necessarily go there? So
yeah,
it's a little bit more off the beat. Ooh, I like to be able to say I've been somewhere that not everybody's been
yeah.
to.
This is I would say this is definitely one of those locations because this is easily like a 4.5 to 5 hour drive away from the city.
Okay.
So this is I would say majority of people that go to Iceland tend to stay within a 2 hour driving radius of the city because people tend to do day trips.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Overwhelming majority of people do that. So yeah. And then on day 6, when going from Vik to Reykjavik, and now you see that beautiful picture that you have in the background, I found that GIF. And now people that watch the replay will probably debate on whether you say GIF or GIF.
I say Jeff.
Yeah, so, but
The
we'll leave
founder
that.
says Jeff.
Yeah, but I found a moving picture. And some beautiful pictures, both of the south coast. The top pictures are off the south coast, the black sand beach of Reynisfjara, which is the black sand beach close to the town of Vik, which is going to be close to where we're going to be spending the night on that or starting that day, and then we're gradually moving towards the west and visiting Seljalandsfoss before we head out to the Golden Circle, where we're then going to be visiting the hot spring, Geysir, which is the OG or the original hot spring where the name geyser came from.
Hmm.
Because
Cool.
all geysers in the world are named, at least in the English language, geysers from the one. Unfortunately, it's not the one that is erupting there, but it's from the one that is still in the picture in front of there. It's called Strokkur, the one that's erupting, but the one in the foreground is called Geysir, and it's that's
Oh,
the first documented one in at least Western history, and from there is the original geyser.
that's a fun fact.
Geysir in Icelandic. So yeah, it's a little fun fact for you. I'm getting back in guiding mode here. So
And would you recommend the snorkeling?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's so fun. It's definitely something that you would have to first read the fine print of, like to make sure that you like are healthy, and have to make sure because you don't want to like then find out that you don't meet the health requirements
Mhm.
because you may be like due to health requirements because it is cold water. It is
I was just gonna ask if it was like really cold and
yeah,
okay.
it is 32 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Okay.
Like
But
freezing, right?
it's one of the freshest waters you like and clearest waters you can snorkel in the world.
It's got to be amazing.
I
Yeah,
mean, bring your wetsuit. Do they have wetsuits as part of like the activity?
it's gonna be dry suit.
So, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the operator that we do the optional activity with, they're gonna be using a dry suit. So there will be a thin layer of a teddy bear suit underneath, and like trust me, I could do the briefing, safety briefing, and I can like, and I've done it so many times. I've taken my son doing the snorkeling, and like it's like, yeah, like
A whole nother world.
you'll get a temporarily like non-medically induced Botox with the water.
You'll be like your face is your skin is paralyzed
Yeah,
temporarily.
yeah, like you'll get that glow that we call it the silver glow.
Oh,
Like pictures
wow.
afterward.
Awesome.
And yeah, so it's a fantastic experience. But that's the optional activity for the day after. But that day six, it's a jam-packed day. So you want to make sure that your camera is charged, that you have everything ready, and you got possibly a waterproof jacket on for that day because there's going to be a lot of waterfalls that day.
Okay. It's like the waterfall circuit, right?
Yeah, Iceland has a lot of waterfalls. So your that TLC
I know.
song.
It's like cue chasing waterfalls.
Yeah, and please don't tell that to the guides. They're probably all like sick and tired of that song.
Yeah, I can sing it by heart.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, and then
All
that
right.
last night,
We got
and
more
then
to go.
yeah, and then you have then in Reykjavik. After that, you have a fantastic day in Reykjavik where you can do a with the optional activity on. Sorry, I got a little. I was like, ah, I want to be back in Iceland, man. Are there any spots left on the tour? So yeah, so on the optional day as well, there are also going to be some activities on the day as well. So it's not just going to be the optional activities. There's going to be some like city exploring and possibly some more hot spring activities within the city boundaries. So so there's going to be some activities within the city limits itself, but then and then you can also explore in the evening, and then on the day 8 you're going to be venturing out to the Snæfellsnes
Okay,
Peninsula.
say that.
Snæfellsnes.
Snæfellsnes.
Yes.
Snowfell's nest.
Snæfellsnes. Okay.
Yes. That was good. A
Bless
lot
you.
of people, yeah. A lot of people say, like some people have even said like Snapalaphagus, and you're like, okay, I mean, that was close enough.
Snowflake. Okay.
Yeah, Snæfellsnes. And that's that holds one of Iceland's glaciers, which a lot of people don't know, and that glacier is believed to hold the entrance to the center of the earth for the people who are Jules Verne's uh, readers and have read those books. And so there is a lot of mystical and magical uh, uh, stories and fun things in that area. But it's very beautiful, beautiful vistas, beautiful mountains, and coastal areas as you're driving around the peninsula as well. So you're going to be seeing things like gatklettur. We're very great at naming things. Gatklettur means cliff with a hole in it. And that So that's what we named it.
Greatest
Sounds
hit.
much better in Icelandic.
Yeah. And then our very famous Kirkjufell mountain, which is the one from Game of Thrones for people who watch that, the Arrowhead mountain from Game of Thrones.
Sweet.
So so yeah, the Snæfellsnes Peninsula is a beautiful location. It's a long day trip to take you out to that beautiful peninsula. It takes you through the national park at the very edge of uh, the most western part of the peninsula, and where you kind of drive around the glacier, and on a good clear day, you can actually see the glacier from Reykjavik. And on a good clear day, you don't want to see Reykjavik from the glacier because you don't want to be looking away from it. You're looking at the mountains.
Yeah, because it'll be just so breathtaking, right?
Yeah, but you can like it's harder to see Reykjavik because there's fewer mountains that way. But it's a beautiful day. But then you head back, and then we usually try to kind of get people together to have a little bit of a farewell dinner. I always felt that was too much of a like there was too much finality to it. So I always said that was like see you later dinner.
Mhm.
So
Same too.
so so it was kind of a great way to kind of tie up a great trip and kind of share stories and exchange stories and yeah, have a great time. And then the day after is just depart anytime.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What do you think the weather's like at the end of May?
So that is usually one of the more comfortable times for me. It tends to be uh, for Icelanders shorts and t-shirt weather, but then we're probably talking like mid 60s. Yeah, mid 60s going into high 70s, but that depends on the year. I've had but this is like an unusual thing to happen, but I've had like 6th of June where there was snow, but
Oh,
very unusual. But Iceland tends to be a little breezy sometimes, so it's always good to have a
layers.
rain jacket with you that serves as a wind jacket and a wind jacket. So always a double purpose, and layers is always a good option. So
Awesome.
Cool.
Helpful.
yeah,
Thanks, Jonas.
Very cool. Thank you, Jonas.
yeah,
Now we're going to talk about Egypt.
oh, I'm excited.
From one end of the extreme of, like glaciers and waterfalls to the dry desert.
Yeah, and the fire and ice.
But you have the Nile, so Okay, so Egypt is a women's only trip from October 18th to the 25th of 2025, 8 days, 7 nights. And the cost is 1,599 per person based on double accommodations. So this trip includes 12 meals, 6 nights in hotels and 1 night on the sleeper train, internal air, you see there's the flight back, and then all the driving in between, and then entrance fees to include monuments and activities. So I just see if I can scroll down about some of the activities. There's a lot of monuments included in this. So the pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx, and a guided tour, a tour of the Egyptian Museum, which is supposed to be just totally spellbinding. A felucca sailing excursion. A felucca is like the old-fashioned sailing vessel that they used back in the day along the Nile. It includes a visit to the Karnak and Kom Ombo temples and a guided tour, and the temple of Hatshepsut and the Valley of the Kings, and also a visit to the Colossi of Memnon and a visit to the G for Good Fantasia project. So we start in Cairo, we end in Cairo, and there's some traveling along the way. So this is a really busy, jam-packed trip to Egypt, hitting all the main spots between Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan. And really, it's designed to give everybody like the best of Egypt in a short amount of time. I have not yet been to Egypt, so and we don't have an Egyptian here to present. So I think I'm gonna actually share a video. And I hope I can do this right without messing it up with the sound. You know, sometimes it's a little weird with.
I can do the sounds.
Let's see if this works. Tell me if you can hear it, okay? Oop, let's start from the beginning.
What traveling Egypt and Jordan with G Adventures looks like in 45 seconds. You can get up close and personal with the Pyramid of Giza, hear how the Sphinx lost its nose, stroll past ancient tombs in the Valley of the Kings, and be blown away by the rock-cut city of Petra. They must have had power tools. There's no other way. You can cruise down the Nile on a felucca, kick back on the Red Sea, float in the Dead Sea, and soak up the desert scenery of Wadi Rum. Want more? Go bargaining for souvenirs in Luxor's bazaars, and dig into a home-cooked meal in a Nubian village. People have been adventuring around Egypt and Jordan for thousands of years, and now it's your turn to do it too. Book your next adventure today.
So that one did also include Jordan and some of the shots, but just hopefully everybody can zone that out and just think about Egypt, because I'll do Jordan on another time when it's a little bit more safe. But yeah, that hopefully a picture is worth 1,000 words with that one. So hopefully that gets everybody excited about Egypt. Okay.
Very cool.
So I'm just showing a couple photos here. I do have the full itinerary on my website, so I don't want to necessarily walk through it since all that is available for you guys. But I do want to kind of just pull out a couple special things. The felucca, the traditional Nile sailboat. It's also really special that we're going to stop on one of the inhabited islands on the Nile to visit a traditional Nubian village and have lunch with a local family. We're going to also kind of learn about their agricultural operation. I think that's a nice highlight. And I also want to note that one of the things that I really appreciate about G Adventures and this itinerary especially, it's one of the reasons why I pick some of these destinations that maybe I wouldn't want to do on my own as a fully solo traveler, is that exploring Egypt with a guide really does add so much value. We have a guide to sort of explain the history of the sites, to give us the deeper meaning and some of the things that we wouldn't otherwise find in a tour book or reading a plaque. We get some of the significance of these places and sort of the support and logistics and safety of a group. I know Egypt is one of those ones that can be really overwhelming to travel as, a solo traveler, or even as a couple. So I'm really appreciative of sort of the safety in numbers that G Adventures provides. When I went to Morocco, not for 1 second did we feel unsafe, or we'd never felt harassed. And I'm, really, I feel really relieved to sort of have the guide there, kind of insulating us from, I think, some of the other things that I've heard, some of the things that I've heard about some countries that have different customs than we do. So really appreciate all the logistics that are taken care of. And also the fact that, it's a local guide. So a crash course into Egyptian food, culture, all things that only the locals know. So I think it'll be really, really rewarding. I'll also talk about a couple of the add-on activities. So as I said, there's a lot of museums and temples and entrance fees included, but there are a couple other things that are extra. The Islamic and Coptic Cairo tour that would happen on the first day. So people would have to arrive kind of either the night before or early in order to make that one happen. The Philae Temple visit, I think that's on maybe day 3 or 4. The Temple of Abu Simbel, everybody has just raved about this place, so it's definitely on my list as an optional one to go to. That is just absolutely, it's crazy well preserved and not to be missed. And then the Explore Memphis and Sacra, not Memphis, Tennessee, right? But Memphis, Egypt. That would happen on the last day, I believe. That would happen on the last day. So people would probably either have to have a really late flight or leave the next day. And then if you want your own room, there is a small charge extra for that. All right, so we only have 8 minutes left. So I just wanted to make sure we cover this part. If you're interested in any of the trips, or if you have any more questions, you can reach out to me at julie@travelbta.com. So just let me know which one you're interested in, your full name as it appears on your passport, your nationality and passport number. I think I forgot your birth date, so I need that too. And then the final thing that's needed to hold your spot on the trip is a $350 deposit. So that basically means that you are good to go. And if at some point before final payment, which is 2 months before, if you have to change or cancel, you get it as a lifetime deposit. It never expires. It never goes away. You can use it in 2 years or give it to somebody else. It's super flexible. So we want everybody to have some peace of mind when it comes to plans that sometimes change. And I also wanted to just note before we go into question and answer, I have a travel scholarship that I am just launching. Well, I actually launched it in Morocco. It was sort of a soft launch. It was something that one of the people interested in my trip was going through some financial difficulties, and I wanted to see if I could do something to make this trip possible for her. And it sort of got my wheels churning, and I decided I'm going to make a ongoing travel scholarship. So by providing recipients up to $1,000 off one of my upcoming group trips, I hope to make it attainable and possible for them to travel on an itinerary that they might not otherwise afford. So basically, it's pretty easy to apply if you know somebody that would be interested in coming on one of these trips, but needs a little bit of extra help. I have an application process. So I will share this out with the link, and hopefully that gets them on having the trip of their lifetime. So excited to share that little announcement. So Liz,
Yes,
it's all
ma'am.
up to you. Do you have any questions?
As far as accommodations, actually, for both Iceland and Egypt, is Jonas still on, or did he drop off?
Sure. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm curious about what the accommodations are.
So for the accommodations, are you looking to know like what style of accommodation, or like just the names of the accommodation?
Oh, no, style.
Style. So in terms of the accommodation, we tend to stay with in the classic style of trip. We tend to use with G Adventures the classic. We stand the 2 or 3 star level hotels, and we tend to use the local operations or
Good.
local yeah, as often as we can. And in some cases we can't, because sometimes there just isn't a local
Sure.
supplier that just can't deal with the volume that we have. But we always strive to use local smaller vendors where we can. It's part of our Ripple score. It's part of our commitment to support the local communities.
Awesome.
Uh, and yeah, so but we always strive to use safe, clean, and comfortable accommodations. So
Oh, I'm sure. I like hanging with the locals, right?
yeah.
That's part of the fun for me.
Hopefully you get to meet Siggi in Iceland if you go, or Artgrímur. Yeah,
That'd be amazing.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
really good point, Jonas. Yeah, well, I've yet to do a G Adventures trip where we stayed at a Marriott or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a commitment to keep the travel funds in the local community, and especially on these classic trips, there's obviously different levels of G Adventures trips and just all different levels of travel, period. And I really like to make my group trips as attainable as possible. So I have some that are, 4 stars. And I have these ones that are a little bit more around the 3 star, more sort of budget friendly trips. Iceland is already really expensive. So if you want to go luxury, and in my opinion, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to do Iceland on a more luxury basis, because it's already an expensive destination. And Egypt, not so much of an expensive destination. So we're able to have offer a more budget conscious price on that trip, but still, comfortable, cozy. It's not gonna, maybe the Wi-Fi is not gonna be the strongest, things like that, but but ideally, the rooms are they're in a location that's safe. They have, everything that you need: the beds, the running water, the regular creature comforts we're used to, just maybe not, um, you know, maybe not everybody gets a fridge in their room or something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you like to travel the way that I do and experience just,
Mm.
but just experience the locale, right? And I like staying. I mean, some of the places I've stayed have been pretty rustico. So
And like Egypt, I have a couple places on my list, and I'm sure during our free time on the itinerary, let's go to the rooftop at the fancy hotel and have a drink and have a picture
sure.
and stuff, like why not? We can get a little walk through their gardens and maybe stop at the rooftop pool. But I'm also happy to do the trip on an affordable basis, so other people can come too, I'm like, I really do want to get people to come along with me and consider these destinations that they may not would have otherwise considered, or maybe it would not have been financially possible, or someone maybe, would have felt like, oh, I don't know if I feel comfortable going alone. So that's really
Mhm.
my goal with these trips.
I love it. It's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, any last words? Jonas, will you tell us something in Icelandic?
Well, I will tell you a very long story in Icelandic. No, no, I will. I will tell you. Um, give me a sentence, and I will tell you it in Icelandic.
Tell us how to say thank you in Icelandic and
Okay.
cheers, because I
That's
always like to know those two things when I go to a new country.
easy but very useful. To say thank you is tak.
Talk, that's it.
Yeah, takk.
Talk.
Talk.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can also
Easy.
say tak tak.
Talk. Is that like thank you very much?
No, it just is also thank you, but you
Thanks.
can just use it like it doesn't mean more thank you. It's just like tak tak tak.
Okay, cool.
Just like whatever you're feeling like, like in the moment, if you're feeling like throwing two thank yous, like yeah, just do it. And cheers is skál. Skal.
Skal.
Skal?
Skál. Yeah. And the
Skal.
A it has a little accent on top. So it's
Skal.
Skal.
yeah.
Okay. Skal.
Very cool.
And I know Arabic, how to say thank you. It's shukran from
Yeah.
Morocco. So at least we have that handled. I need to
Yeah.
remember cheers, which I don't think they drink a lot in Egypt. So it might just be us saying cheers, but we'll see.
So,
All right. Well, thank you for joining, and thanks, Jonas, for making yourself available for this. Liz, make sure you reach out to me if any of these trips, hopefully both, catch your eye, but otherwise, anyone who's watching this on replay, you can reach out to me at julie@travelbta.com, and I hope to have you. Have a good
Thank
night,
you,
everybody.
Julie. Thank you, Jonas.
thank you.
Bye.
Tak.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Adios.
Bless, bless.